Well, most may think that nothing can fix a 10-year-old feud between a father and a son. Turns out, that's not the case. For one man, it was an 8-hour conversation that changed his perspective, turning his dad from an ogre into an inspiration. The story is all in nationally syndicated radio host Larry Elder's brand new book, Dear Father, Dear Son, and he's my guest right now. Great to see you again, Larry. It's been too long. You say that this book is an apology to your father. Why?
Well, my father and I had this huge fight over something in retrospect was pretty minor when I was 15 years old. We did not have a meaningful conversation for 10 years. So I began to bother me, Gretchen, and I finally sat down with my dad, and for 8 hours, from 2:30 until 10:30, we talked. And I unloaded. I promised myself I was going to be calm. I wasn't going to talk about the whippings, the beatings, the yelling, the screaming, the temper that he had. He was like a seething volcano walking around. And sat down with him. I started out very calm, and I unloaded on him. And I found out all sorts of things about him I never knew. I found out my father did not know his biological father. The man named Elder was in his life the longest, never married his mom. He was an alcoholic who beat him and his mom. My dad had a fight with her then boyfriend when he was 13 years old, was kicked out of the house, never to return. We're talking about a black man, Jim Crow South, during the Great Depression.
And so you actually say, you make the analogy about a tiger mom. You said, hey, forget about a tiger mom. I had a junkyard dog dad.
Right.
So you came to understand him more, but you came to respect him as well because he held 2 jobs and he was just trying to bring home enough finances for the family.
When you're a little kid, you don't realize what's going on. All you know is your dad is angry and irritable all the time. I didn't realize he was working 2 full-time jobs as a janitor, cooked for a family on the weekend, went to night school 3 nights a week to get his GED because he always felt insecure that he didn't have more education. And that's why my father was so cold and so angry. You average 4.5 hours of sleep for 10, 12, 15 years. See how you feel, Gretchen.
Kind of there a little bit.
Yeah.
But who is this book for? Because some people will say, well, this is a story about you personally with your father, but you have a really important message here.
The book is for anybody that has a junkyard dog dad like my dad. My dad was a World War II Marine. He joined when he was in his late 20s, was stationed on the island of Guam, came back, couldn't get a job as a cook because he was told in the South where he was from, we don't hire any N-words. Comes to California where he had visited a few years ago, thought things were going to be a little bit better, and he went from restaurant to restaurant to get a job, and he was told, I'm sorry, sir, you have no references. He then worked 2 full-time jobs as a janitor, as I mentioned, because he and my mom believed that it was important for her to stay at home while he raised 3 boys. So they did so on my dad's income as a janitor, and then he saved up enough nickels and dimes, Gretchen, to start a cafe in his late 40s. That's when we had the fight. All of us used to work for him, my brothers and me, and then when I was 15, we had this huge fight, and we didn't speak for 10 years.
But the message you want to give to people is if they grow up in a similar situation, what should they take away from it?
First of all, be appreciative that you have a father in your life, even if he's a difficult junkyard dog like my dad. Secondly, it's never too late to sit down with your relatives. I've told this book about to my friends, female and male, and my female friends also tell me they had difficult relationship with their fathers, and one time they sat down and worked it all out. I guess the message is sit down, don't assume bad things in somebody else's mind without sitting down and talking to them. Don't waste all those years. And when I've told this to people and they've read the book, Gretchen, people have actually picked up the phone and reached out to their father, their mothers, their aunts. Daughters have reached out to their fathers as well.
All right. It's very inspirational with a lot of messaging in there. Larry Elder, it's Dear Father, Dear Son. Thanks much for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck with the book.
Appreciate it.